Well, hi folks, coming towards the middle of February now, so thought it's about time I pulled my finger out, did another video and got a bit of stuff planted or started doing a bit of gardening for a change. So what I'm going to be doing now is planting some extra early potatoes, new potatoes in these pots like I did last year. Got a really good result last year just out of using these 15 litre pots and a couple of new potatoes and just general bog standard compost. So I'll show you how I do that and what I'm going to do, but I just want to talk about my compost first, because if you remember last year I bought some cheap nasty compost and it absolutely wrecked sort of 90% of my potato crops, some of my tomato crops, some of my cucumber crops, because it had some kind of pesticide residue in it, which was purely because it contained green waste and recycled materials. So I've been trying to find some compost this year that's either 100% peat or peat with coir or something, but something that's not got any green waste in whatsoever. So I've managed to find some. It's from Wickes, it's their multi-purpose compost. And as you can see, well, the bag's upside down, it says free from green waste, which is what I've been looking for. And what it's made up of, again it's upside down, is 70% peat and 30% specially manufactured wood fibre, which improves air, water and nutrient supply. So like I said, absolutely no green waste whatsoever, so there's no chance of it containing any of the pesticides that I had trouble with last year, because peat's sterile and wood fibre should be sterile, so there's nothing you can get in from the green bins that people empty. It's great, you know, recycling green waste and stuff, but you just don't know what's in it. Anyone can dump anything in those green bins. It's not tested at the factory. When I had the trouble last year, I actually got in touch with the company and they said there's no European legislation to actually check for any kind of contamination in green waste before it goes into your compost. So actually there could be anything in there, and as you know, some of the cheaper compost you find plastic, bottles, glass, chipboard, God knows what. So you think if someone's mowed the lawn with weed killer and moss weed killer, swept the clippings up, put them in the green bin, that all gets composted, and if it goes into your compost there can be a residual sort of weed killer in there which can ruin a whole year, like it nearly did with me last year. So a bit of a waffle, but there you go. Found this stuff. I just went and bought a few bags of it just for a test run, because I'm going to actually go and, now that I've found out it looks really good stuff, if I can just try and show you it, I'm going to go and buy a sort of half a pallet full, because they will actually deliver it. And if you look at it, it's really good stuff, nice and black, fluffy, no bits in it, no plastic, no rubbish, nice and fluffy and dark. So that's the stuff for me this year, and it's dirt cheap as well. Buy 3 get 1 free. I'm not trying to do some kind of a commercial thing, I'm not getting paid to do it, I'm just trying to show you that there are some cheap composts out there that have got the high peat content, which might not please people, but it doesn't, you know, it doesn't really bother me, but it's not got any rubbish in it. So what we're going to do now, I'm just going to show you how I plant these potatoes. Couldn't be easier. I've got these 15 litre pots. Like I said, I grew them in these last year and I had a really good crop. So I'm going to put 2 seed potatoes in. So all I'm going to do really now is just sort of, I'll half fill this pot first. I'm going to add maybe an ounce of fertiliser to the whole pot. So I've half filled that there, probably a bit dark to see. And I've just got some run-of-the-mill fertiliser. This is actually for fruit and veg, so it's slightly higher in potash. It's 6, 8, 10, so it's slightly higher in potash, which will probably help it produce bigger potatoes, because the more the potash, that's bigger for fruit and tubers and stuff like that. So I'm not going to measure anything out, just a little handful. Maybe, what, half an ounce or so, an ounce. Just give that a good mix in. And then I'm going to use my seed potatoes. These have been chitting for a couple of weeks. They've not got really any big chits on, sprouts on as such yet. You might be able to see there are just a few little sprouts forming. So I'm going to plant 2 of these, maybe about 2 inches from the bottom of the pot. I'll just push them into the compost. sort of spread them out evenly like that, and then I'm just going to simply just fill the pot completely up to the top. Now I'm not going to fill it up as it grows like you would do in bigger pots. As I said, I did this last year and it worked fine. I think I got about £2 out of each pot early on after about 100 days, so doing it this early, and by about the end of May you can have your first new potatoes, maybe 2 months quicker than you would do outside, so it just fills the sort of gap between the ones outside being ready. So that's that. You don't have to fill it right to the top. I'll just put another pinch of fertiliser in the top there and just gently mix that in. And that's that really. So that's that sort of 90% filled up. Now what I'm going to do with these, I'm going to leave them somewhere sort of quite warm, sort of in the house, not room temperature, but maybe 50-60 degrees, to get them growing really quickly. And probably in about 3 weeks I should see the first shoots coming up. And then as soon as the shoots come up, I'll put them in a greenhouse or a polytunnel, try and keep them, well, have to keep them frost free, either by giving them some heat in the greenhouse or by just covering them in fleece if we get any really cold weather coming in. And then just keep them going like that really until, I would say 100 days is the earliest you can really expect to get anything out that's worthwhile. And then if you remember last year what I did, when I pulled the potatoes up last year, I actually replanted the plant. So you can take the whole pot out of the, take the whole plant out of the pot, roots and all, take your potatoes off that you need, any little tiny ones that are left growing, leave those on, replant your plant, cover it in compost again, and you'll get a second crop about 6 weeks later or when the leaves die down. So I did that, and you can actually get another £2 out of each pot. So you might be lucky enough to get maybe £4–4.5 out of a 15-litre pot. So it's good to do. Like I said, it gives you a really early crop. I should be hoping to be getting a few late May, so they won't be ready outside till July up in my part of the world where it's cold. So if I grow about six or eight pots of these, that should be about 6 weeks worth of new potatoes early on, which should fill the gap between these being ready and the ones outside. So like I said, I'm using these 15-litre pots. I'll just try and find some of these other ones that I can use now. I'll just show you this other idea which I've got. So another thing you can use are these. I'll just move this pot. These are like grow bags that are sold for growing exhibition potatoes in, and they're just a black plastic bag. The plastic's thick enough to keep the sunlight out, and they are for growing. They've got lots of holes in them if you do want to plant them in the garden for the roots to grow through, but they're really handy. So I'm going to try some of these. I don't see why it should be any different. And they're a lot cheaper than pots, and you can use them year after year. They're only about 20p each. But like I said, you don't want to shell out on buying pots. You can use these potato grow bags. I don't know what they're actually called, what they're sold as. If you go on the specialist sites, they're sold as that. But they do hold the shape once you fill them up. Same old thing. A couple of spuds in, 2 or 3 inches from the bottom. Just fill it up. So like I said, I've got plenty of these because these are what I used to grow my show spuds in, which I'm not doing anymore because I've been there, done that, can't be bothered. So I thought I might as well use the bags again. So I'll just fill this up and give you an idea what it looks like. It's made out of really thick polythene, so there's no worry about it tearing or anything like that. Again, just do that. And there you go. That's the ones in the bags. I can top that up a little bit more, but I think they're roughly about the same size. They're maybe about 17 litres these, so you could probably try 3 in one of these. But another alternative to a pot, 20p worth of grow bag. So that's about it really. That's getting me all the first dead early seed potatoes planted out. Like I said, they'll go in the greenhouse or the polytunnel protected by fleece. And then we should get a crop late May time or something like that. Excuse me. And then should get the first new potatoes of the year. Well, just like I said again, if you're not into growing stuff with any green waste, then it is available compost. So you don't have to risk it this year by growing stuff with green waste in, not knowing what you're growing in. So it is out there and it is cheap and it looks like decent compost. So like I said, have a look. You will find some and you shouldn't have any problems with any contamination this year. So that's about it, folks. First bit of growing, first bit of planting done this year. See you later.